All right, welcome back to our video series on the Algebra 1 credit recovery. In this video today, we're going to be covering what's called solving multi-step equations. Now, when you solve a multi-step equation, right, you're taking, it's more than 2 steps, right? Sometimes it might be 3, sometimes it might be 4, just to kind of depending on what you're given. Now this, the list of examples I'm going to go through isn't a complete list of all the multi-step equations you're going to see, but these are pretty much the basics of what you're going to see in Algebra 1. Now, in our first video, we saw that, one step you always do the opposite, and then 2-step equations, you did 2 of those 1-step equation operations to solve. Well, in multi-step, you're going to be doing 3 or more, right, to solve, and depending on what type of problem determines what steps you need to take. Now, in this first example, we have 3 plus 2x plus 5x equals 9. So before we need to do anything else, we need to combine like terms. So I'm going to combine my 2x and my 5x together. Now 2 plus 5, right, because 2 is positive and 5 is positive, so 2 plus 5 is 7. So I have 3 plus 7x equals 9. Okay, now once I do that one step, that first step, then it becomes a simple 2-step like my last video that I showed you, right? So we need to move this 3 to the right-hand side, so I always do its opposite. So subtract 3, and then I'm left with 7x equals 6, okay? And then you can divide both sides by 7, because 7 is multiplying with x, so I divide both sides by 7, and I get x equals 6/7. Now, you may be tempted to write this as a decimal, and that's not a nice decimal to write. So I would suggest that you leave it as a fraction. Okay. Now this next one, this time instead of coefficients with your x that you're combining right now, you're going to be combining terms with just the constant, just the numbers, right? So 15 plus 3. I can combine these two, so 15 plus 3 is 18. So 18 minus 2x equals 22. Now I need to get rid of 18. It's positive, so I subtract 18 from both sides. And what I'm left with is negative 2, so this negative sign falls with the 2x. So you get negative 2 equals, now 22 minus 18 is 4. Now you can divide both sides by negative 2, right? And negative 2, this cancels, right? And divide by negative 2. 4 divided by negative 2 is negative 2. So you have x equals negative 2, right? And I forgot to mention that this cancels, right? And this cancels. So, it's kind of a good habit to kind of cross that out until you can get used to solving these types of equations. Now, this next one, 3x plus 4 equals 6x minus 8. There are multiple ways of solving this equation or this problem, right? And depending on how you move certain things, right? Whatever way you take is, not wrong, as long as you work it right, do the correct algebra steps, you'll come up with the same answer in the end. Okay, now what I like to do is I always like to move, all my x's. Well, you always have to move all your x's to one side and all your numbers to one side. But when I move my x's, I usually move my x's first, and I always move the smaller of the x's over. And the reason I do that is so then I can almost guarantee that I'm going to have a positive answer or a positive x value that I'm going to have to divide at the very end, right? So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. So subtract 3x. And so when I do that, remember these cancel. So you're left with, now 6 minus 3 is 3. Now the 4 and the negative 8, they fall, meaning they just get written down below. The reason they do that is because nothing was added or subtracted to them, right? So they fall, and now it becomes a simple 2-step, right? So now I need to move my 8 to my right-hand side, or my left-hand side. So I add 8 to both sides, and so when I do that, 8 plus 4 is 12. I get 12 equals 3x. I divide by both sides by 3, and I get x equals 4. Okay. Now this last one isn't, it's a little different. It's what's called the distributive property, right? So you have to distribute this 3, right? Now when you distribute this 3, you are multiplying this 3 by both of those numbers, right? So you take 3 times 2, which is 6, and then 3 times 4, which is 12. So you have 6 plus 12x equals 10. Once you do it, you get a nice two-step. You subtract 6 from both sides. You get 12x equals 4. I'm going to rewrite that up here. 12x equals 4. Divide both sides by 12, right? Now, you can leave it. Some teachers will say you can leave that as 4/12. Some teachers say, well, you got to simplify. You got to simplify your fraction, right? So you can divide both top and bottom, both are even, right? So you can divide both top and bottom by 2. If you know your multiplication facts, you can see that, oh, I can divide both top and bottom by 4. So you're left with is 1/3. And that is the simplified fraction of 4/12. Now, if you don't know how to do that, or if that is really confusing, your calculator can simplify fractions for you. Watch my other videos on how to simplify, using a calculator to simplify fractions, and that'll show you how to do that. If you have any questions, I'd love to help. Please leave a comment below, or you can email me. Thanks.